It happened to both.
Sorry if I scared you. Just a little jinx.
You gotta teach me how to do that.
Hello, I'm Louise, and today I'm joined by Matt.
Hello.
And we were at Gamescom last week, Matt, and at Gamescom, you saw a behind-closed-doors presentation of Desperados 3, and you've been talking like a cowboy since, let's face it.
Like a British cowboy.
Yeah, like a very British cowboy. I tell a lie, you haven't been talking like a cowboy at all, but you could tell me about being one of these many Desperados in the game, and just talk about it if people haven't seen it before.
So yeah, the thing that we saw was the premiere of the brand new character who's Isabelle Moreau. So she's a very interesting character in that when you first get introduced to her, she's been captured by the bad guys, and they're kind of talking about her as they call her a swamp witch.
Right.
And my first sort of take on that was, that's an unusual thing to call someone. But it turns out they're kind of right. So she is a voodoo expert. So she has like a raft of supernatural powers, which are slightly different to what we're used to in a Desperados game. So it's kind of Wild West, a little bit exaggerated in the past, but no sort of overt supernatural stuff. But they kind of make this work in a really interesting way. So it's blood magic. She kind of she has like a blowpipe that she uses for taking people out. So the first thing that we saw was an explanation of how she uses her very unique powers to get out of this sort of slight pickle that she's found herself in.
Slight pickle.
Yes.
Oh, nasty.
So if someone hasn't played a Desperados game before, let's zoom out a little bit and talk about how they work.
So they're kind of from the same sort of world as the Commandos game, so real-time strategy, very tactical, sort of game where if you rush in without thinking every single move out, you're going to get annihilated. So the enemies are quite strong, and each of your characters has a very specific set of powers, which you use in conjunction with each other to try and navigate these sort of very kind of tough little mini environments that are set up with kind of cones of vision and enemies that will patrol certain areas. So kind of an intelligent stealth strategy game.
Okay.
And truthfully a very brutal one as well, like famously difficult. And that looks set to continue in this. Even though Isabelle is a very powerful character, they've balanced it quite well.
Did you see any of the other characters? Do you know anything about the other characters?
So we do. The other characters are the classic Desperados characters. So there's Kate, there's Hector, there's Cooper, and there's McCoy, who are all characters from the previous games.
Okay.
And all of those people have their sort of standard abilities. But I think the thing they showed us most of was Isabelle, just because her stuff is kind of is unique to 3 and also significantly changes the way this game plays.
Guess you better talk to her.
Hey, big guy.
Thought I smelled someone new. Name's Hector.
Isabelle Moreau.
So one of the things that she can do, and in fact the first thing they showed us, was the ability to mind control people, because, voodoo. So she takes her blowpipe out, she fires it at the nearest person, and the first example they showed us was just using this person to go and get the key and unlock the cage, which is obviously the easiest way of escaping. But in this case, that's too suspicious a movement for the rest of the people that are watching. So the moment someone does that, the rest of the people that are guarding you get suspicious and they kill you. So obviously there has to be a different way of doing it, and that kind of encourages you to look at the world around and see different things that you can use. So in this case there was a big old handy stack of boxes, as this often is.
Helpful.
So you used your mind-controlled person to go around these boxes and push them over and crush them on. Obviously that's a little bit less suspicious, and then you kind of chain all these things together. You kind of control other people as well. Eventually we got the key and she got out, and then she was sort of free to go around and do her murdery business. And that's just one of her skills. Another one that they showed us was like a connection skill, so she can link two people together, which is really, really interesting because
with their minds.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
So she tethers them essentially with voodoo magic.
Excellent.
Yeah. So anything that one person does, the other person does as well, and this carries over to death. So, if you...
Oops.
Yeah, exactly. So, if two people are tethered together and you tell one of those people to shoot the other one, the moment you shoot him, it'll kill you as well. Which is a really, really clever trick. And they I don't think we've got footage of this, but they do some really, really sort of savage tricks where they knocked one character out and tied them up and then tethered that person to someone else who was alive, on the other side of the map, because there's no limit on how far away you do it.
Wow.
And then they threw the tied up person in the river. So this person guarding someone else just randomly drowned and didn't know why.
Oh dear.
A very inventive game, and there's loads of different ways you're going to be able to use these powers to get through all the problems that you have in front of you. She also has a cat which you can use to distract people, which is handy, and all of her magic is blood-based, so you're going to have to take damage to keep using these skills.
Interesting. So it's a challenge having someone that's super powered, but also it hurts them to do these things. Otherwise, you'd be completely OP.
Absolutely, yeah, and this is one of the things they really drew out because, people expect a Desperados game to be tough, and it did look tough. But one of the cool things they were showing us is just how many ways there are to do all these things. So a little bit later on, they took us further on into the game where you're kind of trying to rescue all the rest of the team. And there were loads of different ways of doing it, but one bit they showed us was there was an area with a machine gun. So the first time they did it, they kind of did it bit by bit, and they kind of took their time. And Doc was sniping people from afar, and Isabella was controlling them, so they were kind of out of sight when he shot them. And then the second time through, they just mind controlled someone, got them straight onto the machine gun, and just gunned everyone down, sort of Wild Bunch style. Where it pains to point out that this is an environmental thing. Not every situation you have will have these options, but that's the kind of game it is, and I think it's going to be one of those games that has amazing replay value, just because you're going to be able to play around with all these abilities and come up with potentially the horriblest way to kill people if you want to, or if that's how you choose to live your life, or just the most efficient.
The horriblest. We will always go for the horriblest.
Well, if you've got the powers, you might as well use them, right?
That's true. So Desperados 3, when are we looking release-wise?
At the moment, we've only got a vague 2019 release date.
So this year, potentially?
Yeah, apparently so. So fingers crossed, hurry up. I want it now. It looks like great fun.
So, you're the one I spotted up on that ledge. John Cooper.
You got good eyes, Mr. Cooper. Isabelle Moreau.
Well, thanks for the help, Ms. Moreau.
So, as ever, if you have any questions for Matt about the game, he'll try and answer them in the comments below for you. Drop us a like if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe to Logitech G for more videos just like this one.